The market was loud with voices, smells, and dust. People were buying fruits, metals, and old tech. But in the middle of the square, tied to a wooden post, was something that didn't belong. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't even moving much. She was blue-skinned, covered in bruises and dirt. Her hair long, messy, once maybe beautiful, hung like dry ropes over her face. Thick iron chains wrapped around her arms, legs, and waist. A metal collar pressed into her throat. A single sign hung around her neck: traitor, animal, let her rot. People walked past her like she was nothing. Some threw small stones at her. Some spat on the ground near her feet. Others just laughed. Still alive, one man said. She won't last another day, but she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stayed silent, eyes half open, watching the dust swirl under her toes. Then, a man entered the crowd. He wasn't from this planet. He was human. His name was Cole Riker, a traveling engineer and ex-soldier. He wore dusty boots, a long brown coat, and a heavy bag on his back. He had seen many things in his life: wars, broken worlds, lost children, but what he saw in that square made him stop cold. A blue-skinned girl, tied like a wild animal, beaten and starving, and no one cared. Who is she? Cole asked a fruit seller. Scum, the old alien grunted. She betrayed her own kind. She helped humans during the siege last year, but the war ended. Not in their hearts, the seller said, tossing a rotten apple at the girls. Feet, they want her to suffer. Some say she spoke to the enemy. Others say she killed one of our leaders. Doesn't matter now. Cole's eyes narrowed. She looks like a child. She's 20 solar years, give or take. That's adult for her species. She looks half dead. That's the point. Cole didn't say another word. He walked closer. People moved aside, curious. A few whispered, "Why is a human getting near her?" He stood before the girl. She didn't look up. Her breathing was slow, weak. Her skin was cracked from heat and wind. He could see a cut across her lip, and her hands were swollen around the chains. Slowly, he knelt down. "Hey," he said gently, "can you hear me?" No answer. "I'm not here to hurt you." Still nothing. He reached out, brushing a few strands of hair away from her face. Her eyes, pale, green, barely moved. But then, they locked with his dot, and something passed between them. Not words, not sound, just understanding, pain, fear, hope. A rock suddenly hit Cole's shoulder. He turned. A tall alien man pointed at him. "Don't touch her, human. She's cursed. You help her, you curse yourself." "I don't believe in curses," Cole replied. "She deserves this." "How do you know?" "Because everyone says so." Cole stood, dusted himself off, and looked at the crowd. Has anyone heard her speak? Does anyone know what really happened? Silence. She was judged by the elders. Someone shouted. But did she get a chance to explain? No answer. He looked at her again. She was still watching him. "I don't know your name," Cole said softly, "but I'll be back." For the first time, her lips moved. Barely one word, so faint he wasn't even sure he heard it right. "Stay." Cole froze. Her voice was broken, dry like sand, but it was real. "Stay," he repeated. She blinked once, that night, long after. The market closed and the stars lit up the sky. Cole sat in the shadows, watching her from afar. He had camped near the square, eating a protein bar slowly, eyes never leaving her. Why was he so pulled toward her? Why didn't anyone help? And what would happen if she died? Right there in the open. Was he really going to let that happen? As the wind blew cold through the broken city, Cole made a quiet promise to himself. "Tomorrow, I break her chains." The sun rose slowly over the broken city. The marketplace was still quiet, but the smell of dust and rot never left. Birds with sharp eyes circled above, waiting. On the ground, tied to the same wooden post, the alien girl was still there. She had not moved. Her chains were heavy. Her arms hung limp. Her lips were dry and cracked. But her eyes, they were open. And they were searching for one person, the human, the only one who didn't throw. A rock Cole Riker returned that morning, just after sunrise. His boots tapped quietly across the broken stone road. He didn't speak. He didn't look. Around, he only looked at her. Some aliens from nearby stalls noticed him and frowned. Back again, human, one old woman said with disgust, still curious about the beast. Cole didn't answer. He stepped in front of the girl and slowly knelt down again. She blinked once. He pulled out a small metal flask and opened it. Water, he whispered. Her cracked lips twitched. He lifted the flask carefully, bringing it to her mouth. She didn't flinch, not like she feared poison, not like she hoped for rescue. It was as if she had stopped feeling long ago. But as the cool water touched her lips, something changed. Her eyes closed. She drank slowly, not too much. Just enough. Cole wiped her mouth with a cloth and put the flask away. I told you I'd come back, he said gently. A deep voice growled behind him. You just broke a law. Cole didn't turn. She was dying. That's the idea. Now he turned. 3 guards stood behind him, tall and armored. Their faces were cold, like machines. One stepped forward. You give her food or water again, you will be chained. Next to her, Cole stood slowly. Then make more chains. The guard's eyes narrowed. Why do you care? She's not your kind. She's not anyone's kind, Cole said. That's the problem. One of the guards spat on the ground. Leave, before we make you. Cole looked down at the girl once more. Her eyes were open again. She had heard it all. She didn't speak. She didn't beg him to stay, but she didn't look away. That afternoon, Cole walked the back alleys of the city, gathering pieces. Rusted tools, wires, old power cells. People thought he was searching for scrap. He wasn't. He was building something by nightfall. Cole had found a quiet rooftop near the market. From there, he could watch her without being seen. The lights were low, and the crowds had thinned. She was alone again. Even the guards had grown bored. He sat with his back against a wall. Tools in his lap, eyes on the girl. She didn't look like a monster. She looked like a survivor. And that haunted him more than anything else. He remembered a war zone. Years ago, on a different planet. A young human boy had been tied to a fence by enemy troops. Cole had tried to save him, but he'd been too late now. He had a second chance, and he wasn't going to fail again. Midnight came. Cole waited for the right moment. Then, with silent feet, he dropped from the rooftop and moved through the shadows. The market was asleep. The stars above flickered. Like watchful eyes, he reached the post. She didn't speak, but she looked at him with steady, tired eyes. He whispered, I'm going to get you out. She blinked once. He pulled out a Toulon-old magnetic cutter and started working on the first chain. It sparked. It hissed. It was slow. The chain began to heat. He moved quickly, cutting one loop after another. The girl didn't scream. Even as her wrists shifted in pain, she stayed silent. She had learned not to make noise. Not to hope, but Cole's hands didn't stop suddenly. A loud click, one chain fell. He reached for the next. Then footsteps. Cole froze. So did the girl. A torchlight moved in the darkness. Someone was coming. He pressed close to the post, hiding. Behind the wooden beam, the torchlight passed, then faded. He waited. The silence returned. He continued, cutting. Another chain fell. Only 2 more, but time was running out. "Why are you doing this?" The girl whispered suddenly. Her voice was weak, dry like wind. Cole paused, because no one else will. "You'll die. Maybe you don't even know my name." He looked into her eyes. "Then tell me." She hesitated. "It doesn't matter anymore." "It matters to me." Cole stared into her pale green eyes. Even in the dark, her gaze held quiet strength. Not hate, not fear. Just silence. All strange. Calm silence that made Cole feel even more uneasy. He expected her to be angry. He expected tears, but she had none. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Why are you helping me, human?" Cole replied, still working on the last chain. "Because you don't deserve to be here. And I don't believe in monsters just because someone else tells me to." She looked away. "But maybe I am a monster." "No," he said quickly. "Monsters enjoy hurting others. You've only been hurt." The cutter in Cole's hand buzzed again. The final chain was stronger than the others. Old tech. Alien steel that the heat from the tool made sweat drip down his face. Suddenly, she spoke again. "My name is Sira," she said. "If I die tonight, I want someone to remember it." Cole paused. "I won't let you die, Sira." Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed through the square. Cole froze. "Guards." "No." He looked up. It was just a metal sheet falling from a rooftop, probably loose from the wind. Still, the noise had echoed across the city. Lights flicked on in the distance. Voices, footsteps, double quotes. "Damn it," Cole whispered. "We need to go," Sira said, her voice now clearer. "You can't get caught." "You're not going back in chains," Cole replied. "Not again." With a sharp snap, the final chain broke. Sira's hands dropped too. Her sides. Her wrists were red, bleeding. But she didn't cry. She didn't groan. She simply stood barely. Her knees trembled. Her body leaned forward like it had forgotten how to balance. Cole caught her before she collapsed. "You need food, water, medical help." She nodded slowly. "Just get me out of here." Cole pulled a long brown scarf from his bag and wrapped it around her head and shoulders. He lifted her carefully. She was so light, it scared him. As he moved through the alleyways, he whispered, "Just a little more. Stay awake, okay?" I'm not afraid," she whispered. "That's not the point. You need to live." They reached an abandoned cargo warehouse. Outside the market zone, Cole had prepared it earlier, just in case. A small lamp lit the corner. A dirty blanket lay on an old crate. He set her down gently. She leaned against the wall and finally exhaled, as if she'd held her breath for years. Cole gave her another sip of water. Then protein cubes. She ate slowly, her hands shaking. "You've done this before?" she asked. "Rescued someone?" "No," she said. "Risked your life for someone you didn't know." Cole smiled, just a little. "More than once." She looked around the empty warehouse. "There's no escape from this planet," she said. "Even if you save me tonight, they'll find me tomorrow, then I'll get you off this planet." Her head turned sharply. "Why would you do that?" He paused, and then he said the truth. "Because I've seen what war does. I've seen children crushed, soldiers lied to, and innocent people blamed. And because I made a promise a long time ago that if I saw it happening again, I wouldn't look away." Sira lowered her eyes. "And also," Cole added with a shrug, "I hate bullies." She gave the faintest smile. It surprised even her. Had been so long since her lips curved. "I was a translator during the war," she said, after a while. "That was my job. I spoke to human prisoners, helped them understand orders, helped stop bloodshed when I could." And they punished you for that. They said I was a traitor. That I chose humans over my own kind. Cole sat beside her. Maybe. They were right, she whispered. No, they were cowards. Scared of change, you were brave. Suddenly, loud shouting came from outside. Voices, guards. They found the broken chains. Cole said. Sierra tried to stand, but her legs gave way again. Cole caught her. We can't stay, she said. I know. He picked her up again, his arms steady, his jaw tight. There's a tunnel under the west wall, he told her. It leads to the old sewer systems. I found it earlier. If we make it there, we're ghosts. Sierra clung to him, weak but breathing. I don't want to die, she finally said, voice cracking. You won't, Cole replied. Not while I'm alive. They slipped through the shadows. Once more, the hunt had begun, but so had her hope. The night was no longer quiet. Footsteps echoed. In the distance, loud voices shouted orders. Flashlights cut through the darkness like blades. Cole ran through the narrow alleys with Sierra in his arms. Her body was cold, her breathing slow. But her eyes remained open, watching the stars above as they passed. Through broken buildings and dusty paths. They're close, Sierra whispered. Cole nodded, but not close enough. He turned sharply and ducked under a metal shutter. The path was narrow, filled with rusted pipes and old trash, but Cole had studied this route earlier. He knew exactly where it led, to the hidden tunnel and freedom. Back. In the square, guards kicked the broken chains and shouted in anger. Find them, one screamed. Search every sector. A tall commander growled. No one escapes punishment, especially not her. They spread out like wolves scanning alleys, rooftops, abandoned shops. But they were too late. Cole had already reached the hidden grate near the edge of the city wall. The tunnel was small and tight. He had to crouch to enter. The smell was horrible wet stone, rotting metal, and old chemicals. But it was safe. No one came here. Sierra groaned softly. Cole set her down gently against the tunnel wall. He opened his bag and handed her a small piece of nutrient bread. She chewed slowly. Her hands trembled. You knew about this tunnel, she asked. I study maps, Cole said. Always. Every time I land on a new planet. Sierra looked at him, confused. Why would someone like you care about someone like me? Cole sat beside her. I told you. I've seen people abandoned before. I didn't stop it then. I will now. Suddenly, they both heard something metal scraping on stone. Someone had opened the tunnel from the far side. Cole stood fast. Sierra pulled herself up. But her legs were still weak. Cole whispered, hide behind the pipe. Don't move until I say. Sierra obeyed. Cole crouched, pulling out a small knife from his belt. Then, dash light. A dim red glow appeared at the far end of the tunnel. A figure stepped into view. But it wasn't a guard. It was a small, hunched alien boy, maybe 14 eyes. Wide with fear, hands raised. Don't kill me, the boy cried. I saw you bring her here. Cole lowered his knife slightly. Why are you following us? I'm not with them, the boy said. She helped my father during the war. When others wanted to burn our farm, she told the soldiers to leave us. I remember her voice. Sierra slowly stepped out from behind the pipe. The boy's eyes lit up. It's you. It's really you. She gave a tired nod. The boy took something out of his satchel and held it forward. Take this, he said. It was a key card marked with the symbol of the port security gate. Cole's eyes widened. Where did you get this? My father used to work at the cargo docks. He died last year, but I kept his tools. This can open the back exit. Why are you giving it to us? Cole asked. Because you saved us once, the boy said. To Sierra, "Now it's my turn." Tears formed in Sierra's eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. She reached out and took the card with shaking hands. "Thank you," she whispered. The boy gave a small smile. "I'll block the tunnel behind you. Buy you some time." Then he ran off into the shadows. Cole helped Sarah back on her feet. They walked slowly through the rest of the tunnel, turning through narrow passages, dripping pipes, and broken vents. Finally, they reached the rusted door that led to the outer valley. Cole used the keycard. Beep. Click. The door opened. Fresh, cold night air hit their faces. Sierra gasped. She hadn't felt open air in days. Beyond the wall, there was only open land. And freedom, but suddenly a voice shouted from behind. "Stop." 2 guards had found the tunnel entrance. Cole didn't hesitate. He pushed Sierra through the door and shouted, "Run." Sierra fell to the ground but crawled forward. Cole turned, pulling out his small blaster, and fired a warning shot. The guards ducked but kept coming. He fired again, hitting one in the leg. The other shouted into his comm. More were coming. Cole slammed the door shut and welded it from the outside using a pocket torch. He turned back to Sarah, who had made it to the rocks. "I'm here," she whispered. "I'm still here." He helped her up again, and together they ran into the open valley, no longer prisoners, but fugitives. Under the stars, with sirens howling in the far distance. Sierra looked up at Cole. "I was ready to die," she said quietly. "But now, I want to live." Cole gave her a tired smile. "Then let's keep going." They hid deep inside an old transport wreck, buried half in sand and half in time. The sun had not yet risen, but the stars were fading. Soon, the desert around them would wake hand with it, the hunt. Cole sat by the door, holding a small scanner in one hand and his pistol in the other. Sierra lay quietly on a torn seat, her head resting against a folded coat. She looked stronger now. Her breathing was even. The swelling on her wrists had started to fade. Still, she didn't speak. Cole looked back at her. "You should rest. We'll move again after sunrise." "I don't want to rest," she whispered. "Why not?" "'Cause when I sleep, I go back there. To the chains, to the voices, to the stones." Cole nodded slowly. "Then stay awake. Talk to me." Sierra turned her head, eyes searching his face. "Do you really believe I'm innocent?" Cole didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his backpack and pulled out an old data chip. "I downloaded something last night," he said. From the town's public archive. He plugged it into his reader and turned the screen toward her. It showed a list official report, trial of Sarah Velen. Her eyes widened. "You found this?" Cole nodded. "I wanted to know who I was risking my life for." Sarah swallowed hard. "Go on." Cole scrolled through the report. "It says you were a translator during the war." "That part's true." "Yes." "It also says you tried to prevent a battle by relaying peaceful terms from a human commander." "You gave the message to your own leaders." Sierra nodded slowly. "They ignored it." "Then it says someone blamed you for delaying orders. A general who lost the fight used you as the scapegoat." She looked away. "I never even stood trial. They just ... declared me guilty. Said I helped the enemy." Cole narrowed his eyes. "But you didn't." "I tried to save lives," she whispered. "That was my only crime." Cole stood up and walked to the door of the wrecked ship. He looked out over the quiet desert. "They erased the truth," he said. "Lied to the people, and they let you suffer for it." Sierra gave a sad smile. "It's easier to hate one girl than to admit an army made a mistake." Cole clenched his fist. "You don't belong in chains. You belong in a courtroom. Or better, on a ship far away from this place." "I don't even belong to myself anymore," Sierra said. "Yes, you do." Cole replied, turning around. And as long as I'm alive, I'll prove it. Suddenly, a sharp beep came from his scanner. Movement detected. 2.6 kilometers. Small vehicle. They're coming again, he muttered. Sierra sat up quickly. We can't run forever. No. Cole said, but we don't have to. He pulled a transmitter from his bag, a small, dusty device with a blinking red light. What's that? Sierra asked an old call beacon. Hidden frequency. I've been saving it for emergencies. Held down the button, Eco 6 to any nearby patrol craft. Need evac at grid K7 Alpha. 2 passengers. Urgent. He released the button. Will someone come? She asked. I left a favor unpaid years ago, he said. If he's still alive, he'll come. Hours passed. The sun rose high. The heat burned the sand around them. Cole covered Sarah with a heat cloak while he stood guard at the door. Then in the distance a low hum. Sarah's ears twitched. Do you hear that? Cole nodded. A small black shuttle appeared over the ridge. Fast, silent. Military make, it landed quickly. Blowing dust in all directions, the ramp lowered. A large human man stepped out, wearing pilot armor and a big smile. Still, getting into trouble, Riker? Cole laughed. Wouldn't be me if I didn't. The man's eyes moved to Sarah. That her? Cole nodded. She's the reason I called. The man studied her face, then turned serious. You better be right about her. She's not what they say, Cole replied. And I can prove it. The man stepped aside. Then get in. I'll take you to someone who can listen. Inside the shuttle, Sarah sat quietly. For the first time, she was in a seat not on the ground, not tied, not chained, just sitting free. She looked at Cole. I don't know who you are, she whispered. But you've done more for me than anyone ever has. I'm just a human, he said. And humans don't walk away from injustice. Not anymore. The shuttle flew low across the dry red plains. Wind whipped around the hull, and dust clouds chased their shadow on the ground. Inside, Sarah sat with her eyes closed, wrapped in a blanket. She didn't speak, but her body leaned slightly toward the warmth of the seat. Cole sat beside her, his jaw tight. He kept glancing out the window, checking the scanner. His blaster was ready, lying across his lap. He didn't trust peace. Not yet. The pilot commander Jex watched them through the mirror. She looks worse than the last refugee you dragged out, Jex said. She's not a refugee, Cole replied. She's the reason the war ended early on that front. She's also wanted, Jex muttered, by a lot of angry people. That's why we're crossing the border, Cole said. Once she's in Human Federation space, they can't touch her. Jex sighed. The Border Patrol isn't exactly friendly these days. You'd better hope they listen to me. The ship shook slightly as it passed over the border canyon's sharp, deep cuts in the planet's surface like old scars. The sensors beeped, warning of an approaching Czech drone. Sarah opened her eyes. They're coming. I know, Cole said. Jex clicked a button on the comms. This is Independent Craft Eco-6 requesting temporary entry. Emergency medical on board. Sending codes now. The silence was heavy. Then static. A voice replied, cold and strict. Accuse. You are unauthorized. Turn back or prepare for forced landing. Cole's hand tightened. Wait, Jex said. Sending your command clearance. More silence. Sarah sat up straighter. She knew this was the moment. If they were denied, they'd be shot down. Or worse. Finally, the voice returned. Clearance. Confirmed, you may proceed. Escort unit will guide you to safe zone. Do not deviate. Jex laughed softly. Well, that was fun. Cole didn't smile. Not yet. They landed in a quiet area near the border. Base Safe Zone 17. 2 guards waited outside the shuttle. They were human. That helped Cole carried Sierra in his arms again. She was stronger now, but her legs were still weak. The blanket slipped slightly, revealing the scarred marks on her wrists. One of the guards looked at her with wide eyes. "That's the girl from the bounty lists." "Not anymore," Cole said firmly. "She's under protection now." "This true?" The other guard asked Jex. Jex nodded. "She has evidence. They'll want to take her to the Human Council rep." Inside the base, everything felt different. Clean walls, bright lights, no chains. Sierra kept looking around like it was a dream. Medic checked her vitals. Another officer asked for her name, but she didn't speak until Cole sat beside her and took her hand. "You're safe now," he whispered. "You can tell your story." Her lips trembled, and then, for the first time since her capture, she cried. Not from fear, but from relief. 2 hours later, Sierra stood before a council officer named Elena, a human woman in her 50s with kind but sharp eyes. Cole stood behind Sierra, silent but ready. Elena placed a data chip on the table. "This has your case file. We've reviewed it. You were never given a proper trial. That much is clear." Sierra nodded. "I never asked to be a hero. I only wanted the killing to stop. And because of your words, one of the worst battles ended with peace talks," Elena said. "Yet they punished you. They needed someone to blame," Sierra whispered. Elena turned to Cole. "And you? You risked your life to bring her here." "She deserved more than chains," he said. Elena nodded. "Then we'll give her more. The Federation grants her full protection. Medical care, a place to live, and a chance to speak. If she chooses," Sierra looked up. "I choose." That night, in a quiet room with a window to the stars, Sierra sat beside Cole. "I never thought I'd see the sky without bars again," she said. "You're free now," he replied. She smiled softly. "I was strong in the chains," she said, "but you carried me when I couldn't walk." "I didn't carry a prisoner," Cole said. "I carried hope." Outside, the stars continued to shine. But for Sarah, it was the first night she truly believed in a tomorrow. The morning sun filtered through the glass window, soft and golden. For the first time in weeks, Sierra woke up not to pain, but to peace. She was lying on a proper bed with clean sheets. No chains, no bruises. No shouting voices or cold stones thrown at her face. Just a quiet room, and the sound of a soft wind outside. Her eyes opened slowly. Cole was there. He was sitting in a chair near the window, his head resting back, fast asleep. His coat was folded neatly over his lap. His blaster was holstered, and his face looked calm for the first time since she had met him. Sierra stared at him, barely believing he was real. He had done what no one else ever had. He had listened. He had believed her. He had carried her, and because of him, while she was alive, she slowly sat up. Her legs were still weak, but her body felt better, stronger. Medical care, food, and rest had begun to bring her back to life. Cole stirred. His eyes opened and found her instantly. "You're awake," he said, voice groggy but relieved. She gave him a tired smile. "I am." He stood up and walked closer, still unsure if she needed help, but she shook her head gently. "I can do it now a little," he smiled. "That's good." There was silence for a moment, not awkward, just peaceful. Then she said softly, "Thank you, Cole." He nodded. "You're welcome." Later that day, Federation officials gathered for a private hearing. A camera hovered silently in the air. The room was small but important. Lena, the Human Council officer, stood in front of the group. Cole and Sierra stood beside her. "Today," Elena began, "we correct a wrong." She turned toward Sira. You were labeled a traitor, beaten, chained, left to die. But the truth always finds its way out through people brave enough to carry it. Sira stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but firm. I was afraid to speak for so long. I thought no one would ever believe me. But one human, just one, refused to walk away. He gave me back my voice. She looked at Cole and my life. Later, that night, reporters quietly released the news. Alien girl tortured for truth, rescued by human hero. Some readers cried, some were angry, but many were changed. In the following weeks, Sira stayed at the border colony, recovering fully. She helped teach language to alien children. She worked with doctors who treated war survivors. And sometimes, she just sat under the stars and breathed deeply. Finally, Free Cole stayed too. He said he had other places to go, other jobs, but he never left, not yet. One evening, they walked together under the sky. "Do you regret saving me?" she asked. He looked at her with soft eyes. "Never. You risked your life. You could have been jailed or killed." He shrugged. "If I had to do it all again, I would." She stopped walking and looked at him seriously. "You didn't just save me, Cole. You made the galaxy see me." "You always deserved to be seen," he replied. Her lips curved slowly into a true smile. Warm, alive. Sira would one day go on to speak before the entire Federation Assembly. She would tell her story not as a victim, but as a survivor, a voice for all those left in chains. And when they asked her what gave her the strength, she always gave the same answer. One human didn't turn away. Cole became known as the quiet rescuer. He never liked attention, never gave interviews. But his name was written in history alongside hers. Not as a soldier, not as a hero, but as a man who simply refused to look away from suffering.